Hello and welcome everyone to Developer Update 11.9. I've got Molegion with me again. Hello Molegion. Thank you for taking the time.
Hey Ryan, hello.
We've got a lot to cover today. We are right in the middle of our final reveal campaign for our final card drop called Heritage. There's 12 legendary gold cards coming to the game tomorrow, September 12th, and they're going to shake things up pretty nicely, but that's not going to be everything. We actually have a hefty amount of card changes dropping tomorrow as well. So there's actually a lot to get through today. So I think we should probably dive right into it. Molegion, what do you say?
Yeah, as you said, the drop will probably shake the state of the game quite a bit. But I think what will shake it more is that we have around 40 changes to existing cards, and most of them are actual like reworks, something that changes the card's text and ability. There are a couple of number changes as well, but yeah, it's a pretty big patch where we try to give some love to the abilities, to the cards that were not really played in the recent times. So
Awesome.
Yeah, we can jump right into it.
All right, let's kick things off with neutrals from the top. We've got Skellige, so Bane alert here. You might want to jump on this one. Pathfinder is being changed. Power goes down to 4. Provision goes up to 10. So the deploy ability now reads: destroy an enemy unit with a primary category that is not in your starting deck.
Yeah, I don't know if Bane loves Skellige as much as he loves Lambert.
Yeah,
right?
but I think he should diversify his portfolio.
Right. Oh yeah, that's a good idea, Bane. Like, yeah, you should maybe give Skellige a chance. He deserves it. I think this ability is quite interesting because, yeah, as you said, what it does is it can destroy any unit with a primary category that is not in your starting deck. So when you include him into your deck, you have to consider what primary categories you want to play, right? So if you play, for example, a deck with only Witchers, right, then you can destroy pretty much everything that is not a Witcher, which is pretty cool, right? If you want to add some humans, you can destroy humans, but you are able to destroy some other categories. So yeah, it's a pretty powerful removal tool that rewards you for building your deck in a smart way, in a way that has mostly one type of primary category for your units, but maybe some others that are not so popular. So yeah, I think this is an ability that Skellige fans will enjoy maybe more than the current one. It's not bad, but it's a bit blunt, right? It's this one that boosts him by 1 after every turn. So yeah, that one, I think it can compete for the spot of your removals in Gold Range.
Awesome. Then we have Evo of Belhaven. Power goes down to 1, but its power can actually be quite high because the deploy ability now reads: boost health by 0. Increase this value for every card you played this round.
Yeah, so this card can go pretty crazy. So normally, the rule of GWENT is that you play a card per turn, right? But there are cards that play other cards, and also if we heard that you like cards that play cards, so we gave you cards that play cards that play even more cards. Like there are cards that play multiple cards, like Stefan Skellen, for example, right? We can play multiple aces up the sleeve, and everything that creates something, every tutor can help you to make Evo really, really big. So if you build a deck that chains cards a lot and plays a lot of them, you can get really, really big numbers. So yeah, Evo will grow stronger because of that.
I like it.
Again, I think this ability is probably a bit more rewarding to build around than the previous one. So I hope you guys will enjoy it.
I really look forward to those moments where you're going to be like, all right, next turn I'm going to play him, and then the opponent already passes, so you don't have to play him, and then the next round, like, he plays for 3, and you're really sad.
Well, that's the risk of those cards that need a lot of setup, right? But that's also the counterplay to them, right? If you can get out without your opponent benefiting from playing so many cards,
Yep.
earlier this round, and good for you, right? Like you made a good play. So
That's it.
So I think it introduces an interesting dynamic between players, especially if you can spot that, oh, my opponent is setting up a big evo.
All right, next we have Oxenford Scholar, and he gains a power, and his deploy ability reads boost self by 1 for each card with a provision cost of 11 or higher in your starting deck. I like the flavor of him, you know, like learning or gaining knowledge from other high cost cards in his deck.
Yeah, that's the idea is that you know, he gains this high knowledge from the top of your deck. Like, you know, you can look at it as funding for studies or anything else, really, right? But again, something that we like, we like to challenge GWENT players, right? Like we like to put something in front of you and make you think, how can I use it in a good way, right? How can I build my deck in a way that will make this card good? And yeah, you can try to find a very polarized deck that runs a lot of those expensive cards and makes Oxenford Scholar like a pretty solid payoff. And you know, then you run more cheaper cards. The fact that Oxenford Scholar himself is cheap, that plays into this strategy nicely, right? So
Yep.
Again, I think it's nice. I think yesterday I saw the artist who made Oxenford Scholar. I forgot her name. I think it was Alexandra. I'm really sorry if it was not, but I saw it on Twitter, and she was making like a throwback to this card, and she said, "Well, one of the first cards I made for GWENT," and she was really happy. And I looked at this and smiled because, well, I knew that we are making this new ability for it. So yeah, hopefully this will see more play than the one that gives 2 vitality.
Yep.
I
like
would be very disappointed if it won't, but yeah, I think it's definitely more interesting.
It's cute. All right, we've got more neutrals to get through. Regis Bloodlust is up next. The 20 power 10 provision card. When you lose a round, while this card is on the battlefield, banish your deck. If in hand or deck, banish self, and if in your graveyard, banish the top 3 cards from your deck. Wait, so you get 20 power, but there's some big downsides here?
Yeah, so this is high risk, high reward. The
Bloodlust.
Basically, yeah. So yeah, 20 points. That's a lot of points, right?
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful thing. But yeah, as you said, it comes with a risk, and GWENT players often don't like risks. But maybe this reward is tempting enough. So basically, yeah, if you play him and with those 20 points on the board, you still lose the round, you are in trouble because your entire deck gets punished, right? It's going to be really hard to win from that position. So you really want to avoid that, right? In other cases, when he's in your deck, you know, you lose the round, he gets punished. It sucks, right? Because it's a 10 provision card. You don't want to lose your 10 provision card for free, but it thins your deck a bit. It's not that big of a deal, right? When you lose him in your hands, then again, it's a pretty big deal, right? Because you can lose card advantage. So basically, and then again, if he's in your graveyard, there is some risk involved. You don't know exactly how big this risk is. But yeah, you have to make a very, let's say, careful decision if you want to keep him in your hand, right? Because if you keep him in your hand, then you either have to play him and win the round at all costs, or maybe, well, lose the round with him in hand and lose card advantage. That would suck,
Yep.
Right? So yeah, of course, the first thing that probably came to many people's mind is, how can I cheat it, right? How can I have all the reward with no risk? And there are ways to do that, right? So for example, if he ends up in your graveyard, you can consume him with something or banish, right? You can transform him with Cursed Knight, for example, something like that. and then you get this big, powerful 20 power cast knight that doesn't have this negative ability, right? You can lock him, you can do a lot of other shenanigans that basically block this ability, but maybe you don't want to mess around with that. Maybe you are just, going full chat mode. I play 20 points, I win the round, I don't care, right? It will be up to you, right? It lets you define a bit how you want to play around with this. We wanted this card to have this feeling of the uncontrollable bloodlust, right? So something that it can be used really to your advantage, but it can also backfire, right? Like you have this Regis and he cannot control himself, and you cannot control him either too much. So you have to be really, really careful.
So it's not a shiny, but it's 20 points right with a freaker on the board. So speaking of inspirational ballads, inspirational ballad is next. Provision 5. Give vitality 6 to a random allied witcher, dwarf, human, and vampire.
Yeah, so this is unconditional 24 for 5. Easy value, right? No, but for real. So this of course, this card tries to reference the traveling party of,
Geralt the Witcher.
Yeah, exactly like this. You have Vampire of Regis, right? There were plenty of humans involved. Zoltan, right? So yeah, you can get a lot of points, as I said, right? Like you can give 6 vitality to each of those, but of course there's a catch, right? So you need those categories because you can give vitality to all of them, to be precise, right? All of them can get vitality, but you need all of those categories on the board, and then you need time for the vitality to trigger. So yeah, it basically is a powerful. Like it can be a lot of points because it has to be, because the setup is so complicated. But again, yeah, it's the setup not so easy.
But setup of an engine in a sense as well, where you gain points round by round.
Yeah. Turn by turn, you get it on all the cards. So it will take. It's not like a huge tempo play, and it's a card that's. It's probably not really good unless you actually have like three of those categories at least. You don't like if you have 3, it's already decent, right? Like if all of those vitality triggers, you will get 18 points. It's pretty fine, right? So you don't always need to go for 4, but when you have 4, of course, you maximize the value. I think it's an interesting twist on the ability that it had before, where it was just 6 vitality to anything. So yeah, maybe this will unleash some creativity for the players.
Awesome. Now, what goes well with an inspirational ballad? It's Ale. So, Ale of the Ancestors, now Resilience, Zeal Order. Boost a unit by 3 and infuse it with, whenever this unit is targeted by Mahakam Ale or Golden Froth, boost self by 2. And there's a cooldown of 2 as well.
Yeah, so we have beer synergy basically, right? This card ties all the beers together. So yeah, it's again one of those cards. Like I saw, I think in the comments of our last video, there was a comment. It got quite a bit upvotes. That was really upset that Ale of the Ancestors is just dead, right? It's there. Nobody cares about it. Well, we do. We have this ability. It basically encourages you to play all the beer cards together, right? Because it means that you have this not only Ale of the Ancestors, this resilient engine that boosts, I think, every turn, but you can also you can also enhance all those other cards like Golden Froth that you can play. You can play it alone. You can play it from Mashy Truffle. Yeah. Worth noting that you actually need to target the card with Golden Froth, so it doesn't have to just be affected. You need to target it, click on it with it. So yeah, I think we played with this, for example, in an alchemy deck for Skellige, where it felt pretty good, right? Because those Ale cards for Golden Froth cards, they are alchemy cards, so they work quite well there. Hopefully this will be a more satisfying card to play around. more satisfying ability for Ale of the Ancestors.
Let's see who creates the first craft beer hipster deck out there and see what they amass with it. All right, moving on to Malin de Trastamara. Doomed order, if not doomed, gain resilience. Cheeky.
Yeah, this is the classic flavor first approach for card abilities, right? So basically, if you know Marlena's story, she was cursed. And to leave this curse, she had to share a meal with someone. So yeah, if you help her lift the cursed, lift the doomed, by purifying her, you can have a resilient 6-power unit. Pretty cool. I think it's a pretty interesting ability, especially if you like when you have a lot of resilient cards that stay on your board.
Yeah, very cute. All right, that's it for the neutrals. I think
actually I will mention it here, maybe now. That's not exactly it for the neutrals, right? Because as I said early on, that's what we are showing for neutrals, because I'm a very, very talkative person, and Ryan will sit here with me forever if we talk about every single change. So we picked a couple, but there's actually plenty of more. So for example, I would love that too, but maybe we should have like 6-hour videos. So we have, for example, changes to construct cards. If you want to see them, you can see them in the patch notes. I think they are already available, right? So yeah, the constructs, many people wanted the constructs to work together, and now they do. So maybe you want to check that out. There's some smaller buffs to cards, like for example, Geralt Art. He doesn't get a big rework, but he gets some value, just some points, right? And yeah, some other things as well. So there is some more. If there are other cards that maybe you wanted to get rework, maybe they are on the list. So check out the patch notes.
Yeah, that's a good tease. So everybody should check out the patch notes, even if you're watching this video.
Yeah.
Cool. Then let's take a look at monsters. We actually have 2 monster slides as well, because there's quite a lot of changes that we want to highlight here. First up being Plague Maiden. Order destroy a rat, then poison an enemy unit. Cooldown 1. Death Wish. Spawn 7 rats on this row.
Yeah, so monsters join the faction that has poisons in their arsenal, right?
And a poison engine as well.
Yeah, it's in poison engine. It's an engine that needs ammunition, but it can be pretty powerful if it has it. So as you can see, it says destroy a rat. It doesn't have to be an allied rat. So if you want to kill your Noon Wraith and use the rats on opponent's side, you can do that. And yeah, this can be pretty strong as long as you have the rats, right? So if you see the Plague Maiden on opponent's side, you can't kill the Plague Maiden, then try to kill the rats, because it will deny the ability, right? Yeah, very potentially high ceiling card, right? And we have some other cards to support the poison package in monsters, so we can move on to the next one.
Cockatrice, now 2 power for provision. Deploy, boost self by 2 for every adjacent beast. Predator, also poison an enemy unit.
Yeah, so Predator is the keyword we introduced in the Claw and Dagger expansion earlier this year. We only had it for 1 card, it was Kikimor Stalker, but we had the intention of using it for some beasts down the line. And yeah, Predator means, of course, you can target only cards with lower power. So it's when it's 2 power, you don't have a lot of options, right? Like you could poison a 1 power unit. It's probably not what you want. However, the Cockatrice boosts itself for each adjacent beast, right? So that can help you. And also we have some ways to boost the Cockatrice before you even put it on the board, right?
Interesting. So, maybe the Alpha Werewolf?
Yeah, the Alpha Werewolf is, for example, that type of card that can help you with that. Really powerful one, I think. It can help you boost a beast in your hand, and there will be plenty of beasts that you want to. You might want to boost. Yeah, Cockatrice is just one of them. And if you don't want to boost something, you maybe have a shorter round, or you have a swarm of rats or something, right? Your opponent killed your Black Maiden, or you consumed her for yourself. Then you can boost all allied beasts by 1, right? It's the old ability of Morwood.
Yep.
But it's just like an optional ability for Alpha Werewolf. It's also now cursed. So yeah, if you want some cursed synergies, Etibald, you can have it here.
Awesome. And then Mountard, to finish off this slide, on Power 10 provision, deploy, banish all units in your graveyard, and then boost health by 1 for each.
Yeah, so this is a change that some people requested to make Mountard a card that is deploy ability, not order.
Yep.
So you don't need to rely on Petri's filter so much to guarantee that you can consume everything. It comes with increase of provision cost, right? Because it's much more reliable. But if you want to make a deck that swarms the graveyard and has a guaranteed payoff, you can do that now. So yeah, enjoy.
There you go. Also, monsters getting some more control options. Poison definitely very powerful in controlling the enemy side. So I think that's something that the community was sometimes requesting as well. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that there's more tools for them now in the game as well.
Yeah. We don't really treat monsters as like this heavy control faction, right? But I think this the ways they apply this poison, I think it's quite fitting for them, right? Like they apply it to a weaker unit, like this predator thing, right? They sacrifice the rats.
I imagine just
kind of
this
stuff.
plague main just throwing poisoned rats at the enemy, and you know.
Yeah, that makes me think of like Baldur's Gate style, just throwing one enemy into another.
Perfect.
My favorite way of playing, for sure.
All right. Second slide, Ada Striga is getting a small change as well. Power 5 goes up to 6, provision go up to 9, and then Zeal Order, Predator as well. Consume a token. If it was allied, double the boost from it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if Ada Striga is a beast or a relic on life, but I'm pretty sure we changed her to be beast now, so you can boost her with Alpha Werewolf. Maybe she's already a beast. She should be for lore reasons, if I remember correctly. But yeah, what can you do with this card? So she has this Predator keyword again, right? She can only consume things that are less powerful than her. So for example, one way to play her is have Ada Striga on the board, boost her to high amounts, have a token, boost it to high amounts, and get double boost, right? Like it's like DIY Aglaes in a way. But you can also use Ada to consume opponent's tokens, right? Because she's not limited to your tokens. The value remains mostly like similar, right? Because you get double values from allied tokens. And you know, consuming something from the enemy means that they lose points, you gain points. So yeah, like if you can boost her, for example, to 14, you could consume Arniov if you want to, right? And because she has Zeal Order, you can actually boost her on the board. So you can use maybe Carapace or maybe some other cards, like I don't know, Thunderbolts. Yeah, I think this card has potential to be a lot of points. Also, it's fitting that we have a maybe more interesting ability for Ada Striga in the patch where we release Ada. I was about to say I'm not sure if it's already known that we release Ada, but we have big Ada right on the screen, so you probably figured it out by now. Also, I will use this opportunity to give shout out to Jean, who always spelled monsters as monster. So yeah, this is for you, Jean.
Awesome. And I just checked, Ada is a beast indeed. Ada Striga at least. And then, speaking of beast, Werewolf now also cursed. Thank God. Very cursed creature. 4 for 4, deploy Predator, boosts health by an enemy unit's power. So also, I'm just going to put it out there right now, a really good target to boost beforehand, so then you can click on a stronger enemy card and boost by more.
Yeah. Of course, if you just play werewolf just like that, you can only target something that has 3 power or less, right? Which makes it a card, right? It's nothing special. It gives you value of probably an average or below average for provision card, right? And it requires some setup, so it really shines when you can actually boost it in some way. But if you do, the value can be pretty big. It's
Awesome.
just you have to be wary of the predator keywords.
Cool. Now, a faction that is known to like to boost is actually up next. So let's take a look at Northern Realms. And the Northern Realms, plural, have also quite a few changes coming up. First up, we want to talk about the Temerian Infantry. Formation, order boost an allied unit by 2 for each remaining charge on your leader ability.
Yeah, so if you play a deck that has a lot of leader charges, or maybe you play Radovid, for example, you can get some decent value from Temerian Infantry. This card can get some solid points if you play a deck that allows it. Yeah, I think it's quite self-explanatory. Not much more to dive deeper into.
Cool.
The previous ability was very similar to a Scytheman, for example, right? I think it wasn't terrible, honestly, but it never really wasn't really ever something that players wanted to try a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we give it something different.
All right. Cadwelli Sergeant up next. Formation, boost an allied unit by 1, charges 3.
Yeah, so this isn't a huge change. I believe it's only 1 extra charge. So yeah, it's not much, but the card is
More power.
Yeah, more power. The card is quite decent,
Cool.
Especially if you just start, for example, your journey with GWENT, right? It's a easy to grasp card that really shows you, like, really works with a lot of the tools Northern Realms have, like Tridam Infantry, for example, right? Or Lyrian Scytheman, I mentioned before.
Might be able to bring cards out of removal range now, or spread 1 more charge. Awesome. Temple of Melitele Congregation now shows cards spawned by its deploy ability in the preview.
Yeah, so this was something that was requested by many people. So Temple of Melitele, like, it can be really frustrating to face it because you don't know exactly what your opponent got, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be prepared for everything, and it's just not a great feeling. So we remove that. We want to remove that feeling. Now you can right-click the temple and see what your opponent spawned. And yeah, maybe you will be more prepared, right? You can basically plan around what your opponent has there. So yeah, hopefully people will find it easier to play against Temple.
Awesome. Finally, Ban Ard Tudor, and he now gains 2 power and 1 provision. Whenever you play a unique special card, boosts self by 2.
Yeah, so it's a card that works well with a deck that, for example, wanted to play our recently reworked Kiramets, who plays unique spells from your graveyard. This one works with special cards, not just spells. So again, a challenge for deck builders, right? Like if you build a deck that has a lot of special cards, a lot of unique special cards, you can get some good value on this engine. And I believe they also count this specials independently of each other, right? So it depends on what special cards this specific banner tutor has already seen.
Great. That's it for Northern Realms from our side for now. So let's move on to their mortal enemies.
Actually, one more thing for Northern Realms. Yeah, I think I can mention it because it's in the patch notes, but maybe some people will not see it. So we had a provision increased for the River Scouts, and not the Hunters. Why not the Hunters but the Scouts? Well, basically it comes down to the fact that the River Hunters, they are let's say, controversial deck, right? Like many people don't like facing them. They are not that popular, and I mean they are good, but the popularity of River Scouts is like much higher. So even though those cards are meant to mostly work together, River Scouts find a lot of place in other decks, and it's probably annoying to see so many River Scouts whenever you face Northern Realms. So yeah, they cost 6 provisions now, so you need to maybe double check if you are sure you want to have them in your deck.
Gotta make some space elsewhere. All right. Now there's one change in particular for Scoia'tael. So let's take a look at it. It's the Varied Saboteur. Just a little adaptation here. Deploy if you control an artifact. Spawn an Elven Deadeye on this row.
Yeah, so instead of just boosting a unit, you get the Deadeye. There's multiple uses for Deadeyes, right? Like Vernal Seal, Angus makes the Deadeyes better. So this card should just be overall more
interesting.
Yeah, more interesting to introduce, because just like Deadeyes have some flexibility that Boost by 3 doesn't have. So yeah.
Awesome. And next up, also starting with S, it's Syndicate. Syndicate is on the menu, and we have the Wheel of Fortune, now costing 6 provision. While damage an enemy unit by 0 at the start of your turn while in hand or deck, change this value to a random number between 1 and 10.
Yeah, so the current version of Wheel of Fortune, it doesn't ever tell you what this value is, right? Like you just have to play and see.
Yeah.
And that sucks, right? Because if you play it and you hit a 1, you feel like a fool, which maybe is funny, but doesn't really encourage you to put this card in your deck. You probably just go into your deck builder and mill it.
Ooh, I like this though.
What happens?
Mm-hmm.
So we try to keep the flavor of unpredictability that fits cut-ups pretty well, but we also give players some agency. So you will see the damage that was rolled for this specific turn before you play it. And what this means is, for example, maybe you had a plan to set up an engine, right? But you see that your Wheel of Fortune now deals 10 damage in this turn only. So you maybe need to think, do I want to cash in this value now, maybe kill something big, or do I want to play my engine now? So this is something that may change the way you think about the rounds, and can potentially give you powerful removal tool that it plays above its provision cost, of course. Because, for example, if you compare it to something like Parasite, right? Parasite is maybe not like super popular, but it's a decent card.
Yep.
6 damage in monsters. This can give you 7, 8, 9, 10, but it can also give you 0, 1, 2, etc. Right? So I think it might be worth the risk. If you are the type of player who likes taking risks, I think you might enjoy this.
There's going to be a lot of math behind the gamble of, all right, there's 3 turns left in this game. Do I play it now for 6 damage? Do I greed out for more? I don't know, is 5 enough? This is going to have a lot of decision making connected to it.
Yeah. I think it can lead to some interesting thoughts.
Yep. All right, Arena Endriga. Power goes down to 4. Provision also goes down to 4. And now reads deploy. Gain coins equal to the amount an allied unit is damaged.
Yeah, so the way I really should stop saying before I start talking about the cards. Probably somebody surely noticed it by now and
Counted
they will
it.
comment on that. So yeah, I anticipate that and call myself out myself. So I win, right? No, but seriously, Arena Endriga is intended mostly to be a card that works with the mechanic that is shared by cut-ups, so Insanity, right? Insanity, where you can damage your units instead of paying the coins, and then if your unit is damaged, so for example your junior gets damaged by 3, you can use Arena Endriga on junior and you will get 3 coins, right? That's probably not the best way to use Arena Endriga, right? Because it's just 4 for 4 that gives you 3 coins. That's kind of like Mutant's Maker with extra steps, right? It's alright, but nothing special. But if there are cards that are damaged by more, like Greater Brothers, for example, you can fill your bank with Arena and Rega now. So yeah, I think the card is much better than the previous version.
Cool. And now finally, Mutant Killer. Power goes up to 4, and deploy reads boost self by 1 for each poisoned unit on the battlefield. Not on your side, but on the battlefield.
So this card is friends with Salamander, of course. Where Salamander poisons everything, Mutant Killer is very happy. Of course, friends with cards with all the self-poison cards as well, or maybe just offensive poisons. So probably a decent card to consider if you run a Syndicate deck that is quite heavy in poisons.
Yep, we take those. Alright, moving on to Skellige. Skellige has 2 changes that we want to highlight. First up being Udaric. Power doubles to 8. Order Berserk 7. Set an enemy unit's power to match own power. So, what do you think about that? So I alleviate you of the yeah.
No, I'm not getting baited. I skipped the year for the previous card. I will skip it for this one as well. So this is obviously intended to work with self-wound cards. And if the power of Udalric starts quite high. And yeah, I think like knowing Udalric's lore in general, I think it's fitting for him to be part of the self-wound archetype.
Sadly.
Yes, sadly. So if you have cards that can damage him down to 1, you can set power of something to 1. I don't recommend trying to set power of something to 0 because, well, you will kill your Udalric before you can do that. But it can still be pretty good with some cards like, for example, Knut Nuts. I always struggle with pronunciation of that card, but of that with Svalbard Priests, with all the other stuff that can damage your cards, and of course you can also heal the Udalric up later on. I think it's a pretty interesting ability that can serve as a tall punish, right? Like if your opponent goes really tall with a card, it's a good and pretty cheap card to try to punish it.
Would you say there's some potential Heim synergy?
Heim synergy, maybe not so much. I mean, you could, right? Like you can use Heim on your Udalric, but it's budget Olaf, right? Like you can do that, but we probably don't want to do that.
Then Udalric can set the enemy power to 1. And...
Yeah, but if you set the, I mean, you can set it to 7, right? You don't want this power to on your opponent's side to be low, right? If you want to steal it with Heim, so.
Yeah, fair.
But they can definitely work together in the same deck. So yeah, I think maybe the previous Udalric worked with Heim a bit better, but the previous Udalric is not entirely gone because we moved his ability to Demon Pirate Captain. Yeah. Also, oh no, I said yeah again. Somebody do a yeah counter. I'm actually quite curious at this point. So we have Demon Pirate Captain with basically all Udalric's ability. It's just an improvement on what it had before, right? It was just damage by 3 on Bloodthirst. So instead, the Bloodthirst now gives you Zeal, and you can ping some stuff around, get maybe some pay. Maybe you can kill something. You can get some payoffs for self-wound. You can do whatever you like, right? It's just more power to you, more flexibility.
Cool. There's one slide left to go over, so let's take a look at Nilfgaard, and it is Dythwin Arbalist. Power goes up to 4, and whenever an enemy unit gains status during your turn, damage it by 1. Also, spoiler alert, there's another thing that we want to highlight after this, but let's cover this first.
Dythwin Arbalist, we changing these cards to work with the status archetype. quite straightforward, right? Something gets a status, therefore Arbalest damages it.
Big brain.
Yeah, it's a very big brain card, because like if you look at for example his flavor text, he says that he aims for the knees always, but if you look at his art, he aims his crossbow up, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we're laughing with Mart the other day that he's really badass because he must be fighting giants, right? Like he aims for the knees always. So
or they're really far away and he just has to shoot at an arc.
Maybe he's like either like super precise sniper or somebody who fights giants. Either way, super badass cards. So yeah, if you really good, for example, with cards like that apply spying, right? Especially if they apply spying to a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's probably an improvement, I think, over the previous version. Maybe if you play a status deck, you want to consider it.
All right. So there's and one more thing that we kind of just made sure that we mentioned it now, and it is a change to a very pronounced character. So why don't you go ahead and share what that is?
Yeah. No, I said it again. I hate myself. I made myself self-conscious, and I still do it. That's worst of both worlds. I would rather just never notice. Okay, Vilgefortz is the card. He is present in most of the Nilfgaard decks. And if you play against Nilfgaard, you know Vilgefortz is coming. And one of the things that comes with Vilgefortz is also the anxiety of you praying that when he kills your stuff, it won't pull a good gold from your deck. That will not trigger its ability, and I don't know, like Renfree or something like that. Like it just sucks, right? So this was a change that was requested by many people, and so I'm happy to say that we introduced it to the game. Basically now Vilgefortz will only pull bronze cards. Why? Because again, this card that gets summoned, it's meant to be a drawback, not an additional effect, additional bonus of the Vilgefortz ability. So no more milling Renfrees or other stuff. I mean, if you want to mill Renfrees, just play Ichwara Quarks, right? We can't let Vilgefortz steal Ichwara Quarks' job. Yeah. So Vilgefortz now still can destroy anything, right? Still can destroy one of your units to pull something from your deck, but it will now want summon bronzes. So not only you probably just give opponents a card that is like an alright card to have on the board, you may be able to Fiend as well, right? So definitely Vilgefortz is worth reconsidering if you want to run him in every deck. Maybe it will give some space to cards like, for example, Leo Bonheart, right? Who doesn't have this drawback, has additional condition, but doesn't have the drawback, so probably net value is better from this. We also did this. I also want to apologize in advance to people who thought of the deck that our lovely partners thought of when we were testing Regis Bloodlust. So as you remember, Regis Bloodlust, if you have Regis Bloodlust on your board and you lose the round, it sucks. So what was one of the first ideas people had? All right, I will make my opponent have my Regis Bloodlust on the board,
and then lose.
I will do them with the card. Oh my god, I forgot now. Card that swaps.
Yeah.
The top cards.
Yeah.
From.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The audience knows what you mean.
So you would swap with it with that. Then use Vilgefortz to summon it, and then you just win the round and you dance around, right? Because your opponent's deck gets punished. I think this deck kind of sucked, to be fair. Like if it was the typical fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type of deck, where you just, if you know it's coming, you just don't pass. And this deck runs a lot of garbage cards and easy easy giveaways that this is this type of strategy. But at the same time, it was definitely this type of deck that makes you close the game and go to Reddit and say this is stupid, what was the thought process behind this, right? That kind of stuff. So we also like this strategy is no longer a thing with Vilgefortz, at least. Maybe you will find another efficient way of doing that.
Yeah.
But Vilgefortz was definitely the best. So hopefully, yeah. If Vilgefortz gave you anxiety, well, you're welcome, right? It's probably much less annoying to face. If you wanted to play this Regis deck that gives your opponents Regis and makes them lose the deck, then sorry.
Vilgefortz already steals a lot of hearts and beloved characters from the books, so no need for him to also steal gold cards, you know. I think enough is enough.
Also, like, I don't think Vilgefortz should work with Regis, but no spoilers.
Yeah, so moving on. Thank you very much, Molegion, for running through the patch notes with me. As we mentioned before, they are already live and there are more changes to cards that you can already read up on. So make sure to check those out on playgwent.com. Also on playgwent.com there's an article highlighting all the 12 new cards. So if you've missed a reveal here or there by our super amazing partners, then make sure to check those out as well. And start theory crafting your decks for tomorrow for the release of Heritage and over 40 card changes coming to the game as well with update 11.9. Thank you for joining me, Molegion. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, it's probably not times for goodbyes yet, right? We will still be here. I'm not sure if me and you, but me with either you or Pavel, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll be here for the next update. Next update, to set the expectations right, it won't be a big content update simply because we don't plan to have another content update following that. So we wouldn't be able to fix much. We will try to use the next update to fix the stuff that we introduced now, and we introduced a lot of stuff. So I'm sure there will be stuff something to fix.
Something's going to be burning that you want to put the fire out.
Yeah. Also, one final message, because I think some people will be happy. When we were working on this patch, of course, this kind of type of stuff needs to be locked quite a bit in advance. But after we released the previous update, I got some DMs, saw some posts on Reddit, Twitter, Discord, right, with people listing cards. Oh, I hope this card gets reworked, right? I'm quite happy to say that we covered most of the things I saw people requested, but I'm also fully aware that we didn't cover everything. And well, it's just many reasons, right? Like, it's just sometimes hard to do everything. Sometimes you have an idea for something that you try to polish till the very end, and then they decide it just doesn't work, right? So we need to revert it. So yeah, the cards that were mostly left with maybe less interesting abilities are especially the cards that are connected to starter decks. So it's like something simple that players can evolve the deck from. But yeah, our goal was really to make sure that as many cards have interesting, inspiring, and challenging abilities as possible. So I really hope that we managed to do that to at least some extent.
Cool.
And yeah, next update, cleanup update most. And we will talk about Gwentfinity a bit.
Exactly. And that's the thing, if there's any rework that we missed in your opinion, not much longer until you can boost or nerf that card into oblivion with the mighty force of the gathered community.
Yeah.
All right.
That's double yeah. Somebody who's counting.
Two more.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is again. Awesome. All right. Let's close it out. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure to go over the balance changes. Thank you, Molegion, for being here with me. Thank you, Shoop, in the background for having my back as well, and to the whole dev team for putting their hearts into it. And I think I'm gonna see you in about a month again. Maybe Borja's gonna be here, but excited to talk about the upcoming changes as well. See you soon. Bye.
See you next month.